Nagorno-Karabah este cel mai semnificativ conflict din Caucaz și cea mai periculoasă situație nerezolvată care a apărut în urma prăbușirii Uniunii Sovietice. Este din nou război în regiune, iar în disputa dintre Armenia și Azerbaijan sunt implicate indirect și puteri mai mari. Lideri din toată lumea cer încetarea ostilităților, iar cei mai vocali sunt Trump, Putin și Macron, adică reprezentanții țărilor responsabile de coordonarea negocierilor dintre părți. Derulăm filmul evenimentelor împreună cu Serghey Minasyanar, ambasadorul armean la București. Sunt Cristina Cileacu. Începe Pașaport diplomatic. Serghey Minasyanar, ambassador of Armenia, welcome to Diplomatic Passport.
Thank you for invitation.
Nagorno-Karabah este creația lui Stalin din vremea când era comisar pentru naționalități în Uniunea Sovietică. Când Azerbaijanul a fost preluat de bolșevici în 1920, aceștia aveau nevoie de sprijin public, așa că au promis Karabahul Armeniei. Pentru că trebuiau să liniștească și Turcia, principalul prieten și partener al azerilor, au convenit că Azerbaijanul va deține totuși controlul regiunii. Înainte de prăbușirea URSS, armenii din Nagorno-Karabah au trimis la Moscova o petiție prin care cereau unirea cu Armenia. Situația a escaladat după ce fostele state sovietice au devenit independente și s-a transformat într-un război în toată regula, cu 10.000 de victime și sute de mii de refugiați. Totul a durat până în 1994, când părțile au încheiat un armistițiu, doar că o problemă înghețată nu este una rezolvată, așa că în prezent se duc din nou lupte în regiune.
There is an ongoing war between Armenia and Azerbaijan in the enclave of Nagorno-Karabah, which is officially owned by Azerbaijan, but it's ruled by Armenian ethnic population. Why this conflict, frozen from 1994, started today?
First of all, when we are talking about Nagorno-Karabakh Republic, it's a state entity that was established during the last period of Soviet Union, and after the collapse of former Soviet Union, two political entities were actually appeared on the territory of the former Soviet Azerbaijan, the current Azerbaijani Republic and Nagorno-Karabakh Republic. And you remember that in the 90s it was a full-scale war. After what in 1994 trilateral ceasefire regime was established between Nagorno-Karabakh, Azerbaijan and Republic of Armenia with the help of international mediators. Unfortunately, after that, since the mid-90s, the Azerbaijani leadership was not able to succeed in a direct negotiation with the people of Nagorno-Karabakh. The negotiation format was going under the auspice of OSCE Minsk Group's three co-chairs, France, Russia and United States, but unfortunately all attempts were not so successful, not because of the position of international community, but because of non-compromised position of the Azerbaijani leadership. And it seems that oil and gas revenues that Azerbaijan started to earn since the mid of 2000s actually changed the calculus of Azerbaijani leadership towards the Nagorno-Karabakh conflict. They thought that by purchasing a lot of sophisticated weaponry from many countries, including first of all Israel,
first of all Russia.
Russia, you know, by amount the arms that Azerbaijani purchased from Russia, it's quite a big. But why I said first of all Israel, because Israel unfortunately actually transferred the most sophisticated part of the weaponry that unfortunately Azerbaijani side with help of Turkish instructors using now in the front line, so-called drones, many other types of missiles and reconnaissance systems. Of course, the main actually idea for Azerbaijani side, of Azerbaijani strategy, was try to change this military political balance by its numerical, as I said, technical and military and technological superiority in the front line.
So, sorry for interrupting, what you're saying is that because they bought new weapons, they started the new war?
You know, there were the frameworks or the basis of the current situation. But the triggers, I think, also very clear. And these triggers not are only constrained by the South Caucasus region. There were a lot of statements from the president of France, from the leadership of Russia, Iran. International observers also said that this current escalation came under the direct support of Turkey. And now we see maybe the first time when Turkey really involved in military political process in the South Caucasus. And the most important and disturbing actually indicator of such kind of policy, the support of transferring Islamic terrorist groups, mainly from northern part of Syria, to Azerbaijan. We already have a lot of facts about that, and international community is quite aware about that. And it's also understandable that this is a part of so-called long game that Turkish leadership is trying to use some elements of Turkish-style hybrid war, using this terrorist militia in many places of Middle East, including Syria, Libya, and now unfortunately we have seen that by the sponsorship of Turkey in Azerbaijan appeared also Islamic Bojok.
Declarațiile președintelui turc Recep Erdogan despre conflictul reluat din Nagorno-Karabah au ridicat multe întrebări în rândul comunității internaționale, mai ales din cauza mișcărilor pe care Turcia le-a făcut în ultimii ani în nordul Siriei, Libia și în Marea Mediterană, prin recenta dispută cu Grecia. Liderul de la Ankara este acum văzut ca autorul reluării acestui război. De cealaltă parte, principala voce care îndeamnă la calm și la reluarea negocierilor este a Rusiei, prin președintele Putin.
Let's talk a bit about the intervention of both leaders from Turkey and Russia. So Erdogan's position was clear. He is backing Azerbaijan because, of course, Azeris are a Muslim population. Russia, on the other hand, interfere in order to calm down the situation. How much it means for the parts involved in the conflict? I'm talking, of course, Armenia and Azerbaijan, those two interventions.
You know, sometimes from outside there is a picture that this is some kind of a proxy war between Turkey and Russia. But in reality, it's not this way. Of course, in case of Turkey, we have a direct involvement. On the other hand, in case of Russia, we have some kind of a bit different situation, because they are not only in the capacity of the regional or the global superpower in this conflict. They are also playing in the capacity of one of three co-chairs of OSCE Minsk group, together with France and United States. So that's why we can say we cannot say about the direct any kind of support of Russia to Armenia. There are some format of military political cooperation, including also transfers of arms and military equipment, but official position of Russia that they are trying to keep some kind of neutrality when it comes to the Armenian-Azerbaijani format. But of course, if it comes to some kind of a broadening regional framework of this conflict, if, for example, Turkey decided directly be involved against Republic of Armenia, I think not only Russia but also other actors of international community, including also some other regional powers, will try to say their will.
Până când conflictul va fi încheiat, comunitatea internațională consideră Nagorno-Karabah ca parte din Azerbaijan. Liderii țărilor care fac parte din grupul OSCE de la Minsk, SUA, Rusia și Franța, care susțin negocierile pentru găsirea unei soluții pașnice pentru regiune, au reacționat rapid și au cerut încetarea focului.
Is Turkey really present in Azerbaijan? I mean, won't this be a very big step which Russia will not tolerate?
You know that since the latest big military exercises, some military aircraft and also some units of the Turkish army, they stayed in Azerbaijan. So we can say actually about a direct involvement of Turkish instructors and officers on the Azerbaijani side in Nagorno-Karabakh front line. However, of course, it's understandable that it should create some kind of a reaction from the north, and moreover I think that the deployment and the activization of Turkey in the Caucasus, in Nagorno-Karabakh, actually the main aim was to create some kind of reaction from Moscow, maybe for discussing some other geopolitical issues in other part of Middle East or Mediterranean.
Sunt sau nu implicați în războiul din Nagorno-Karabah luptători mercenari aduși din Siria? Sunt, dar cine i-a adus? Depinde pe cine întrebi, pentru că fiecare dintre cele două părți combatante, Armenia și Azerbaijan, are altă perspectivă.
During a war, usually both sides involved are using as well propaganda. It's also a weapon to use in a war. Let's get back a bit to the presence of the Middle Eastern fighters, militias in the region. You said that Turkey brought militia fighters from Syria. On the other hand, the Azeris said that Russia brought Syrian Armenians. It's a big community of Armenians living in Syria in order to fight over there. So what is the situation from your point of view again?
You know, the facts about presence of Islamic militia from Azerbaijani side, they were approved not by the Armenian side. When information comes from the president of France, for example, or you can see the same kind of approval in the official statement of Minister of Foreign Affairs of Russia or officials from Iran, or you can see some approvals from military sources in United States, and this issue also is discussing in talks between, for example, Armenian leadership with German leadership, with other with Russians, with other leadership. That seems that this is a situation that really makes sense, and we can see this on the ground. In case of Azerbaijani statements about presence of the Armenians from Syria, you know that maybe there are some Armenians from Lebanon, maybe from the Russia, as well as a lot of Azerbaijanis maybe would like to come to Azerbaijan, but we haven't seen such kind of development. But this is not about using the Islamist groups, using the units, using the actually organizations that under the UN list of terroristic organizations. This is a completely different situation. There are no proofs from the Azerbaijani side about any kind of real involvement of any groups of volunteers from Middle East on Armenian side.
Well, war is something very complicated for the public. So in the case of Azeris, they made it clear they want Armenians out of Nagorno-Karabakh. What does Armenia want from this war?
Armenia as a Republic of Armenia, and people of Nagorno-Karabakh as a non-recognized entity that represent people who are living in the zone of conflict. They, first of all, they want peace. They want a direct negotiation with Azerbaijani side, trying to resolve this situation. Because, first of all, we talked a lot about geopolitical, about military, about diplomatic, actually, science dimension of this conflict. But first of all, the most tragic issue that we can see that every day death of soldiers and also civil population. In the 5th or 6th day of this escalation, Azerbaijani side started to target the capital of Nagorno-Karabakh, Stepanakert. Many civil people from the civil population dead. Of course, this creates some kind of a reaction from Nagorno-Karabakh side as well, and we see the new round of growing escalation. So first of all, we should think about the people who are on the ground. First of all, we should think how to go further, how to intensify direct negotiations between Nagorno-Karabakh Republic and Azerbaijan, because on the front line between them we see this fighting. And also we should try to think how, by the support of international community, it would be able for sides to get a long-standing ceasefire and try to resolve this conflict. Because of course we should. This conflict shouldn't be some kind of burden for the next generations.
Well, there is a solution proposed by Ilham Aliyev, the president of Azerbaijan. He said that in order to start negotiation, all is needed is to Armenia to withdraw its troops from Nagorno-Karabakh. What do you say about that? First
of all, there are no regular troops of Armenia in this region. The second one, you know that as I said at the beginning of our talking, the real problem of Azerbaijani leadership, that they want everything without actually demonstrating readiness, any kind of mutual compromises. So if you say that you should withdraw Armenian forces from Nagorno-Karabakh, that also means that the all Armenian population should leave Nagorno-Karabakh, territory of Nagorno-Karabakh. So this is not a proposal. This is just an ultimatum that couldn't be considered neither by Armenia nor by the Nagorno-Karabakh Republic.
Iranul este foarte atent la ce se întâmplă în Nagorno-Karabah, pentru că, practic, războiul este la granița lui, dar oficial nu susține niciun combatant. Președintele Hassan Rouhani s-a alăturat și el vocilor care cer încetarea focului. În același timp, în Iran, populația de origini azere protestează și cere susținere pentru Azerbaijan.
You did mention earlier Iran, which is a neighbor of both countries involved in this conflict. But in Iran, there are also protests that are backing the Azeri part. How do you see this position of Iran? Also a major player in the area, not only Turkey. Let's mention this part.
Iran is a major player not in our region, but in a more wider region, and everybody knows about that. Yes, Iran is a multinational country, and also because of that, the position of Iran is quite clear, and they already made a statement which also reacts on the deployment of terrorist groups direct on the northern border with Iran. As I understand, also Iranian leadership, they are trying to be ready to any kind of surprises from the northern part, I mean from Azerbaijani side, and they also made a statement condemning the sides that trying to be more involved with these Islamist groups' deployment in the region. And I think it's very clear which side or which sides it was addressed.
Your country passed through a revolution a little bit over 2 years ago, and now it's trying to develop itself in a democracy. But if we look around, it's surrounded by less democracies and, let's say, autocracy. Including in this very conflict, we have 3 autocrats. I'm talking about Ilham Aliyev, Vladimir Putin, and Recep Tayyip Erdogan. Do you see this as an attack as well towards the Armenian democracy?
You know, just a day before the full-scale war was started. Prime Minister of Armenia made an interview when he a bit disclosed and opened some elements of his previous discussion with Ilham Aliyev. Immediately after the revolution, and he said that during this discussion Ilham Aliyev even asked him not to play so-called revolutionary card in their discussion, their negotiation, because there were also some statements that inside Armenia but also inside Azerbaijan that this revolutionary wave should reach also Azerbaijan. So that's why from this sense of I think it's obviously that when you talk about a neighboring country, when we see a dynastic dictatorship for almost 60 years, you know that the current president of Azerbaijan is son of the former general of KGB, a former member of Politburo, who was leader of Soviet Azerbaijan since the mid of 60s. So this is a completely different reaction. And also I should say that the success of Armenians on the front line, including also the success of Nagorno-Karabah army in preserving their position on the front line. I should say that even after almost a week or 10 days after the starting of this assault, Azerbaijani side was not able to reach any kind of visible success. It was possible mainly by this revolutionary enthusiasm that came after our Velvet Revolution in April-May 2018.
Atât pentru astăzi, dar rămânem în continuare online pe pagina de Facebook a emisiunii și pe contul nostru de Twitter. Revenim cu subiecte noi din lumea diplomației și a politicii externe vinerea viitoare de la ora obișnuită 11:30 și în reluare sâmbătă de la 22:30. La revedere!